Let's start with Al Gore. He launched The Inconvenient Truth in 2006, 6 years after losing the election. It was about the effects of global warming, how the world was going to end if we don't do something immediately. And everyone bought into the argument. He said if nothing is done to curb the emissions of carbon dioxide, I'm quoting him here, and other greenhouse gases, temperatures will rise, ice caps will melt, ocean levels will rise, and weather patterns across the globe will be disrupted. So the ice melting from the polar regions would flood the North Atlantic with fresh water. Again, this is 2006, interrupting the warm water flow from the tropics toward Western Europe. So sea levels will rise in 10 years. Pretty far off of that now, right? Penetrating low-lying channels, which will flood the southern part of the United States. I haven't seen, just tons and tons of floods. A hurricane here or there. But in his presentation, he included images of melting glaciers, dying polar bears. Oh my God, dying polar bears, right? Showing anyone a dying polar bear, their heart melts, right? Automatically. Great job. Coastal cities inundated by massive floods, showing pictures of this. Cities wiped out by hurricanes and tornadoes, and food supplies exterminated by droughts. Of course, none of this happened, right? None of this happened. And the main reason, because back then the message was global warming, now it's climate change, right? Change from global warming to climate change, right? I mean, imagine people in Texas right now freezing their balls off while having no electricity, and you're talking about climate change, right? We'll get to that in a minute, but tell them that, they should be concerned about global warming. No. But that's why 25% of your electricity needs in Texas come from alternative sources like solar panels, wind turbines, which are frozen right now, right? Everybody knows the story. It's all over the place. But it's climate change, right? It can't be global warming because it's freezing. It's climate change that caused this. Whether the weather is very cold or super hot, if you have forest fires, all this is caused by climate change. Everything, right? What people fail to realize was what Al Gore's real agenda was. Why he made An Inconvenient Truth. And if you really look at that, it was because he wanted to make an absolute fortune. Through carbon credits, position himself perfectly to be a huge beneficiary of the massive, massive environmental movement. The Paris Accord, everything, all this stuff. And if you look at how did he make it massive? What did he do? This is how smart this guy is. I'm not putting him down at all. I'm just saying. By ensuring all high-ranking government officials who had any involvement with funding policies related to climate change at all were in line with his vision. And if you look at the agencies, it's Department of Energy, Environmental Protection Agency, National Science Foundation, Department of Education, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. He got governments. He got celebrities to endorse this vision, all underneath while he invested accordingly. And I'm not knocking Al Gore here. He's brilliant in what he did. He created a story that's easy to tell, people can identify with, billions follow, while positioning himself perfectly to make an absolute fortune. His net worth went from $2 million before losing the election, $2 million, right? He's supposed to be like a farm guy, to over $250 million 10 years later. And he's one of the biggest players in SPACs, by far. If you look at every person who's wealthy, right, and they keep creating these things, Al Gore, he's right there. It's unbelievable. I'd guess his wealth is easily more than $400 million now. Now, this isn't to say you shouldn't believe in climate change. I think most of us do, in some regards, and we need to do things about it. But the crazy stories to scare the shit out of you, to think like you're going to die 10 years, the world's going to end, to the point where Texas had a mandate, their politicians have 25% of their electricity come from solar and wind. This is Texas. This is Texas, the energy capital of the world, where they have more natural resources than 95% of countries around the world, where they burn natural gas for free because they have so much of it. It's almost like an unlimited supply. They can dig deeper and deeper and deeper. If natural gas prices go higher, then they can afford to drill deeper. It's almost an unlimited supply. I was at a conference 12 years ago with Apache, the CEO, speaking, saying we have enough natural gas to last 300 years, which is not in his best interest to say. When lost natural gas, I just thought it was funny because he kind of said it under his breath. Burn it for free. By the way, natural gas, super clean, super cheap energy. Now what do we have? Dozens of people who died from not having electricity in record freezing weather. All because A lot of our politicians are saying that the world is ending. This isn't political, guys. I'm getting to a point here for all those investors out there. And these politicians, when you think about it, know nothing about this technology at all. They don't know the stats. They don't know anything, right? They get paid by organizations to promote an agenda. They're on the take. If the agenda changes, or if they look at their polls and people no longer care about climate change, they're not going to talk about it anymore. The politicians, they don't care. None of the politicians on both sides care. They just care about power making money. You should know that by now. If they cared, they would have passed a stimulus bill immediately. Right? Look at the House, how quick they impeached Trump, like 2 seconds, no evidence, no nothing, whatever. You can bring that up. How can't you pass a stimulus bill when you force people to close, even though when you're looking at cases, did you see the U.S. cases? They're down 80% since October, the cases. If you're looking at hospitalization rates, down 50% month over month. Why the hell is any school closed? Why the hell is everything not open right now? I have no freaking idea. That's okay. That's okay. But in the meantime, you're conditioned to believe that the world is ending because of climate change. It's what you read, it's what you listen to. Guys, you have to learn. You have to learn to challenge everything. Challenge everything that I'm saying right now. Everything you read. It's easy to follow along with everybody else. Follow along with the message. But you know what's not easy? Questioning it to the point where the people who support that agenda will shut you down if you have a different opinion than them, right? You can't even debate, which is crazy. And same thing happened with fracking. HBO published Gasland. Everybody saw it. Huge, right? Unbelievable story. Great story. Great story. Showing people, turned on the faucets in Pennsylvania, and they basically put a lighter to it and, lit it on fire. And this is all from fracking. Great story. Awesome. Everybody bought into it. Fracking's terrible. Even I bought into it. Until I went to Texas myself, North Dakota, the Permian Basin, the Eagle Ford, Williston Basin, to investigate myself, traveling through dozens of counties, weeks and weeks at a time, to learn about this technology. You know what? When I went there, I thought I was going to see dead animals everywhere. I really did. I was like, holy shit, this fracking thing is crazy, because of what I was reading and what I was seeing. When I learned this technology, it was easy to see all the bullshit that was being reported and the agenda. How fracking causes water contamination. Just forget about if you think that or not. I mean, you're looking at fracking. It's impossible. I mean, drilling thousands of feet below the surface, right? That used to be a vertical well. Now they do it horizontally, and then they frack. But they're doing it thousands and thousands. I mean, fresh water is what? Maybe 500 feet, right? You're not going through that water, but even if you're going, unless those chemicals that they use, which used to be bad at the beginning, and they changed them, more environmentally friendly now, unless those chemicals magically, right, change everything that we've ever learned, right? Magically travel upward thousands of feet through rock to contaminate. That's the only way, unless, some idiot, they have, tailings ponds, things like that. It just takes a lot of that water, which is recycled and used again for fracking because you need a lot of water pressure. But unless they take it in a truck and dump it in a river, that's different. But otherwise, fracking doesn't cause contamination. Why? Why was everybody saying this? It's crazy when you think about it. Or fracking causes earthquakes. And those earthquakes are dangerous for you. And you saw tremors or whatever. There's a couple of report cases. But, I mean, how many people do you know died of an earthquake caused by fracking? I don't know. Let me know if you know anyone. I mean, tens of thousands of wells have been drilled over the past 10 years at least. Everyone's okay, right? We're doing okay. I mean, not to mention that with hydraulic fracturing, right, and horizontal drilling, the success rate of finding oil is close to 100% in places like the Eagle Ford, the Permian. Because many of these areas have been drilled on for decades, so they know where it is. However, it used to be vertical wells, and vertical wells are just straight down. And it was difficult to get, to different areas. You have to drill straight down. Now you drill straight down. It could be 3,000, 10,000, 12, 15,000 feet. And then horizontally, right directly into the pay zone, which they see. Then they fracture it, right? They blow it up. And that's how they draw the natural resources in there. But you could drill vertically, horizontally, and right into that, what they call is the pay zone. So you're looking at Texas close to an unlimited supply of energy. yet mandating that 25% of energy come from alternative sources. I mean, that would be like Google or Facebook saying, hey, if you have a problem with our services, just write a handwritten letter and mail it to us through the post office, and we'll give you a response inside of 2 weeks. That's what it's like saying. It's insane. The Kazakhstan saying, what it is, Kazakhstan is responsible for 45% of nuclear energy, saying, you know what, we're going to bring that down to 20% and just for the hell of it. To save the environment or whatever. But it's crazy when you think about it. So my point to you, what you're allowed to do as an individual investor, right? If you're a business right now, you have to come out with ESG and I'm supporting the Black Lives Movement and all the, you have to, right? It's the writing on the wall. You're a big business. You have to do. Individual investors could speak for themselves. That's where you have an advantage over Wall Street. You get to question everything. And you know what? When you do that and challenge things, it's going to lead you to being on an island by yourself, which has happened many times. Security tokens. People laughed at me. Our whole company is based on that. People laughed at me about fracking when I came back. People laughed at me about Northern Dynasty saying, this is all, bullshit, this project. And, taking 2 planes, a helicopter in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, helped my investors generate 9x, 10x returns in 7 months because I did the research and homework. And I questioned everything. Even going there, I was skeptical. I thought Northern Dynasty was a stock I was going to short at 40 cents. When I came back, I was like, this is complete bullshit. I mean, they're worried about environmental concerns 150 miles away because you have rivers running. They don't have rivers running through their land. There's no streams or nothing. There's nothing. I'm like, what are they talking about? Doesn't matter. Whatever you read, you're going to be conditioned to believe. And a lot of people become followers. And you don't even realize it. But that's where you want to be, on an island by yourself, investing in things when nobody likes them. That's when things are cheap.